Hello everybody and welcome back. As always, I am Mateo311 and this is your channel for everything VR related. So today we have an extra spicy video. I know this is yet another list of the top games, but unlike all those subjective lists that we put out where it's, oh, these are the best graphics or these are the most fun, highest replayability, this one is grounded a bit more in actual numbers. These are some of the most popular Quest games. So not only am I going to go through the list, but I'm also going to talk about what does this say about the VR industry, the Quest user base, and a lot more in general, to be honest. Now, there are, of course, links and timestamps if you want to skip ahead, but before we jump in, this video is brought to you by my sponsor, Kiwi Design. Kiwi has accessories for all of your favorite headsets, and they finally started releasing some new products for the Quest 3. On screen, we have their brand new extra comfy Quest 3 Elite Strap. I've been using head straps from Kiwi for years now, and they're hands down my favorite. There's a link to Kiwi down in the description, and don't forget to use discount code Mateo311 for 5% off and to help support my channel. Okay, so we're gonna blast through this list in no particular order. Just know that these are some of the most popular games available on the Meta Quest headset. And in the end, we'll go over, well, what do these games have in common? What's the player base? And do you agree with this list? Honestly, I'll be the first to tell you, these are not my favorite games by any means. And I bet, based on the demographics of my channel, they're usually not some of your favorites either. So let's get into it, starting with the classic title, Beat Saber. Okay, so I definitely understand this game's popularity. The mechanics are absolutely fantastic, it's extremely easy to get into, and you can actually keep playing this game for years and still not master the vast majority of songs. And speaking of songs, Beat Games continues to keep this game feeling nice and fresh by licensing a wide variety of popular music. There's everything from Green Day and Linkin Park for people like me, all the way to Billie Eilish for the younger generation. So I definitely understand this game's popularity. It's got great mechanics, music that pumps you up, something for everyone. Doesn't matter if you're casual or just super competitive. You could play online, you could play alone, you could play in a party style where you pass the headset around. So it's great for basically everyone. It's got mainstream appeal and it's just fun. Beat Saber, completely understand why it's so popular. But our next title eludes me. I don't get it, but plenty of people love this game, and that's Gorilla Tag. Gorilla Tag is the epitome of monkeying around in VR. Not only does it have really ugly graphics, but it also has some exhausting and semi-janky movement mechanics that people either love or hate. And when it comes to overall content and gameplay mechanics, there's still not that much here. Now, since release, they have added a few additional gameplay modes, but the majority are still centered around just tagging each other. And the final mode is Slingshot Paintball. And the biggest kicker here for me in this game is the toxic player base. You're almost guaranteed to hear some obscenities or racial comments within a few moments of joining a public server. So like I said, guys, I just don't get it. Maybe I'm too old, but I cannot understand why people keep coming back for more, why they enjoy this game so much, and what the big deal is. And let's move on to another title that is pretty much in the exact same league, and that's Penguin Paradise. Except they've replaced the monkeys with some penguins. At least though, it does offer up a bunch of different gameplay modes. There's sled races, freeze tag, maze arenas, plain dogfights, a battle royale mode, and you can even build your own worlds. So with the price tag of free, I can at least understand why a lot of people are trying this game out. Similar to our next title, Roblox. There are some people out there that once they try VR, that's it. They can never go back to flat screen gaming. They think everything is better in VR. You could take anything from the flat screen world, just watching a movie, and once you put it in VR, it's 1,000 times better. Now, personally, I'm not one of those people, but I know them, and Roblox is like a perfect example. The game isn't exactly better in VR, especially when it launched. It had a lot of rough edges, performance issues, but getting to experience that world that so many people love that allows you to do pretty much anything and build crazy stuff, well, yeah, now you get to do it from this whole new perspective that you love. I get it. I get the popularity of Roblox, for sure. These social platforms that allow people to interact, build new worlds, and unlock a large array of cosmetics have sort of become this generation's MMO. There's unlimited potential and things to do and people to meet, and I totally understand how people could spend so much time in these games, similar to our next two titles, Rec Room and VR Chat. They're very similar experiences with a few different nuances. Rec Room focuses on a wide array of minigames and player-generated content. It's definitely a very social experience, but VR Chat leans into that aspect even more. It's the virtual world where people are trying to build their second life, or scratch a particular cosplay itch, or just run around like a furry. Now, I understand this isn't everyone's cup of tea, but I do say you should at least try VR chat and a bunch of these other social platforms at least once. They are very enjoyable. I've had great experiences in all of them, even though Rec Room and Roblox might have a much younger generation, and VR chat definitely has some weirdos here and there. Regardless, I've had amazing experiences, and it's been a great place to just go and hang out with some people in the community. So don't sleep on those games, but let's continue with this list. Moving into the first title on this list that I actually understand, and that's Population 1. Everyone was dying for a high-quality battle royale game in VR, and Population 1 definitely delivered. They didn't just attempt to clone what the flat game industry was doing, and made sure to utilize some VR-based mechanics like their flying and climbing. There's also been tons of updates over time, plenty of community events, and most recently the game went free to play and added a huge sandbox mode. So now the highly competitive and more casual players have plenty to do in this game. Now our next title is the only single player experience on the list, and that is Blade and Sorcery Nomad. Okay, so now we're talking here, guys. We got blood and guts, physics-based action, an awesome array of kick-ass spells and weapons, and not only have the developers Warp Frog been banging out updates for years now, the mod community has also shown this game a ton of love. So while I would actually prefer more of an RPG rather than a sandbox game, you just can't deny how good the overall combat is in this title. But combat definitely isn't everything, and that brings us to our next game, No Clip VR. No Clip is VR's horror-themed backrooms experience. You could jump in with a bunch of friends and get chased by an array of different creatures. It's the type of game that'll definitely give you a few jump scares, but it's all in good fun when you're there with your friends. Now, No Clip VR isn't exactly my style. I'm not really into the horror games, but I can understand the appeal here. It's definitely fun with friends. And yeah, again, it's another free title, so I understand why at least so many people give it a try. But let's move on and circle back to social games for just a minute. I could have easily put Horizon Worlds with all the other games like Rec Room and VR Chat, but I saved it for last just to talk about it a little bit more. It's slightly different. Obviously, it comes with the headset. Meta kind of likes to show it off, put it in your face, so it's understandable that it would be popular, but it's come a long way, and they kind of, just really separated it differently than those other apps. It's kind of like you could just download Super Rumble, which is a part of Horizon Worlds, but it's just a shooter version. So it makes you feel like you're getting a whole bunch of just different mini games rather than going into a game that has mini games, if that makes any sense. But again, it's just another one of those social worlds. They also do a lot of theme stuff and like brand deals with other companies. So you get a wider array of content style. It's games, it's like advertisement stuff, it's watching movies, it's all sorts of different stuff. Maybe a little bit closer to VR chat in that regard, but again, it's just another social world that I recommend you guys check out because it's come a long way and it's pretty darn cool now. And that right there was today's list, but don't go anywhere. No, stay right there because we got to talk about this list. What do these games have in common? Why are they so popular? What does this say about the overall VR industry? Well, that's where things, get interesting. For starters, as you may have noticed, the vast majority of these games, 8 out of the 10, are actually free. So yeah, of course, tons of people are going to play games that are free or at least give them a try. Now, besides being free, these games also share a bunch of other elements. For starters, many of them are really memeable and show up all the time on platforms like TikTok. I'm sure you've seen some Monkey or Blade and Sorcery videos there, but another common aspect is a lot of these games have sandbox modes, they're very social, they're targeted at a younger generation, and they appeal to more casual gamers. So if you're in the older generation crew, you're kind of like out of the loop when it comes to this stuff. You're like, why are these some of the most popular games? I don't get it. I want the more mature themed games, but honestly, that's not really where the vast majority of the audience is, unfortunately. That doesn't mean we won't get the kick-ass games that we want. It's going to take a little bit longer. They're going to be a little bit further and farther in between. But if you're old like me, you probably don't have a ton of time to play games. So it's okay. I will get my one great game a year. I'm hoping that's, this year, Asgard's Wrath 2, and then Batman or Alien or Behemoth. I'm just hoping one of those games kicks ass too. I only need about 3 great games a year to really suck up my time. Everything else could be a fun little experience that I, just meander into from time to time. I cannot have 100 top quality games that I want to live in. Who has the time for that? And that's why people tend to pick one of these free games that they enjoy and just get sucked in until something really, really cool comes along. And that was today's list. I want to know how you guys feel about that. Obviously, do you think this is the undisputed top 10 Quest games? I think my community, no. I think my community won't enjoy the majority of these games. However, they're very popular games and we can't deny that. Are you frustrated of where this puts the industry? Whatever the case may be, let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, thumbs up, and if you're new here, please consider subscribing.